Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we try to uncover what companies are really up to hiding behind all those fancy words and numbers. Get ready because today we are diving into SWK Holdings Corporation's latest filing. And folks, it looks like there is a big change coming. So what is the big news? Well, SWK Holdings Corporation, a company you might know if you follow their common stock or their senior notes, has announced a major deal. They are entering into a definitive merger agreement with Runway Growth Finance Corp. This is not just a small handshake deal, it is a pretty intricate plan involving a few different companies and subsidiary names that can make your head spin. Basically, SWK Holdings is going to be acquired. The way this merger is structured is quite interesting. They describe it as a first merger where SWK Holdings will either merge with a subsidiary of Runway Growth Finance or SWK Holdings will merge into that subsidiary. Either way, SWK Holdings will end up as a wholly owned subsidiary of another entity that is part of the Runway Growth Finance structure. Then there is a second merger which essentially consolidates everything further under the Runway Growth Finance Corp. Umbrella, think of it like a series of business marriages to create one larger, unified company. Now, let's talk about what this means for investors and the company, S publicly traded shares. SWK Holdings has common stock trading under the symbol SWK on the Nasdaq Stock Market LLC, and they also have 9.00% senior notes due 2027 trading under the symbol SWKL on the same exchange. When a company gets acquired like this, it usually means the common stock might cease to exist as a separate public entity, or it will be converted into cash or shares of the acquiring company. For those holding the senior notes, the terms of those notes will likely remain in effect, but it is always wise to review the specific details of the merger agreement regarding debt. Now, the document includes a section on forward-looking statements. This is standard for these types of filings and acts as a legal disclaimer. Essentially, they are saying that anything in this report about the future, like future operating results, business prospects, or the impact of expected investments, might not actually happen. They list a bunch of potential risks that could cause actual results to be different from what they're anticipating. One of the biggest risks they highlight is whether the merger will actually go through. It is not a done deal until all the conditions are met. They also mention potential competing offers, which can complicate things and drive up the price. So while this announcement is a big step, there is still a journey ahead with potential bumps in the road. They really emphasize not to rely too heavily on these future-looking statements because they are based on current information and things can change. It is important to remember that these statements are only valid as of the date of this filing. Companies typically do not update these statements unless there is a significant development. They advise you to look at other filings for the most up-to-date information. For anyone who wants to dig deeper into this proposed transaction, they've provided information on where to find more details. Parent, meaning Runway Growth Finance Corp, will be filing a registration statement with the SEC. This document will contain a preliminary proxy statement for SWK Holdings stockholders, which also acts as a preliminary prospectus. Once it is declared effective, SWK Holdings will send out a definitive proxy statement prospectus to its stockholders. These documents will have crucial information about the deal, the companies involved, and why stockholders should vote for or against it. They stress that this current report is not a substitute for those detailed filings, and investors should read them very carefully. They also point out where you can get these documents for free: the SEC's website and the respective websites of SWK Holdings and Runway Growth Finance Corp. This part of the filing identifies who might be considered participants in soliciting proxy votes for this merger. This includes directors, executive officers, and certain employees of both Runway Growth Finance Corp. and SWK Holdings Corporation. They're basically letting you know who has an interest in the outcome of the shareholder vote and where you can find information about them, like in their annual proxy statements. This is all part of making sure the process is transparent for the shareholders who will be voting on this deal. Then we get to the exhibits filed with the report. The most important one here is Exhibit 99.1. This is the actual joint press release that announces this merger agreement. It is basically the official statement from both companies laying out the news. The other exhibit is the cover page interactive data file, which is usually formatted in something called inline XBRL. This makes the information in the filing more accessible for computer systems to read and analyze. Finally, we have the signatures. This is where the authorized representative of SWK Holdings Corporation, Jody Staggs, who is the President and Chief Executive Officer, officially signs off on the report, confirming that the information provided is accurate to the best of his knowledge. This is dated the 9th of October 2025, which is the date of the earliest event being reported. So what does all this mean for SWK Holdings Corporation and its investors? Well, the most significant takeaway is that the company is being acquired. This is a monumental event for any publicly traded company. For shareholders, this usually presents an opportunity to exit their investment at a premium, but it also means the company, as they know, it will no longer exist independently. The filing clearly lays out the complex structure of the merger and highlights the usual array of risks associated with such a transaction, from regulatory hurdles to shareholder approval challenges. The risks mentioned, like the possibility of competing offers, are genuine concerns. If another company steps in with a better offer, SWK's stockholders could benefit from a bidding war, but it also introduces uncertainty. The emphasis on forward-looking statements is a crucial reminder that while the companies are optimistic, the successful completion of this deal is not guaranteed. Looking at the broader picture, this merger signifies a consolidation trend in the financial sector. Runway Growth Finance Corp is likely seeing strategic advantages in combining with SWK Holdings, perhaps to strengthen their market position, expand their service offerings, or achieve cost synergies. From a Warren Buffett perspective, we'd be looking closely at the terms of the deal. Is the purchase price fair relative to SWK's intrinsic value? Are the management teams of both companies aligned on the future strategy? The fact that they went through the trouble of outlining these intricate merger steps suggests a well-thought-out plan, but the devil is always in the details, and those will be fleshed out in the upcoming registration statement and proxy materials. The key for investors now is to closely monitor the filings that follow this announcement. Those will provide the granular details on the financials of the combined entity, the exact terms of the acquisition, and the timeline for shareholder votes. Without those, this filing is primarily an announcement of intent and a disclosure of the associated risks. The success of this merger will ultimately depend on execution, market conditions, and the continued support of the shareholders. Alright, that is our breakdown of SWK Holdings Corporation's latest filing. What is your take on this impending merger, and what do you think it signals for the future of the companies involved? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable and helped you decode this corporate move, hit that like button. It really helps our channel. And make sure you are subscribed so you don't miss future deep dives. Don't forget to check out the Discord community, linked in the description for more discussions on all things finance. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.